Hi everyone, welcome back in the basic painting technique part of the Calico CAD tutorial. So I explain how we will go with the painting. So first we will just use water on dry watercolor paper and paint the outline very precisely. How it is in the inside we don't care, but like go around on the outline with just a lot of water in your brush everywhere until you go around. The inside part not important, so just use the tip to draw the outer edge of the cat, and when you're done inside you start to fill up with the wet brush. Here I show, just make some outline, but you see in the inside I leave some space dry. You need to sometimes look on a sideways. So the space you left dry, the water with the watercolor can't flow in it, so you will have sharp, this kind of sharp pattern staying white. And of course sometimes you can use this on a purpose. For example, here in the nose I purposefully left it open. So after you have this done, so you have the outer line and you fill out everything with lot of water with your brush, and of course leave the space where you have to leave the space. Then you start to add the paint, but it's not like you paint everywhere. You paint some places and then you just let the watercolor work its flow. So you don't want to control it, you just let the watercolor work. It will flow into the wet area. When you're done with one color, you can start to add the second color if you have one. And just you need to wait at least few minutes to see what's going on and where it's going and where you need to interfere. So don't overdo it. Just leave some empty space and just wait where it's going. The scale is very important, so you see it's at least 2 palm size, the area where I'm working. This kind of Floyd technique cannot work in smaller scale, so you cannot paint a small cat. This is why I suggested to use for the first painting 18 by 24 inch, and the second for me it was I think 16 by 20 inches paper, because this kind of technique is just, you can't make it small because this flow needs space. So after the second thing I want to show, there are some very strict line where the body parts are separated, like around the ear and the tail. The trick there, when you do the outline and then you're filling out with just water with the wet brush, you have to leave a very thin line between those areas, those surfaces, like for example the tail and the body. And because that little line it will separate the two area, and because it's dry, the paint won't go there. So it will give you the border without any more interference. The technique is, first you leave a thicker line. It can be even like a few millimeters or half a centimeters. It's not important, because when it's wet and you start to add the paint, you see where it is exactly. And if you want to modify it, then you can use a thinner brush or a tip of your thick brush, and you can just add more paint on the edges, or just water, because the paint will go there anyway. And so you can make those lines much thinner and much more delicate. So the main idea here is to learn your paint and your brush and your paper. You need to understand how much water you have to add, how much it's flowing. Same paint will behave very differently on different paper. So it's just good to understand what's going on. It's good to, it looks very unpredictable and random, but if you understand your paint and your paper, you can plan, and that's important if you want to do a good painting. I used two different paper for the two calico cat, and actually it was very different experience. So first was Archie's paper. It behaved awesome. I really like that paper. You can change a lot of things for a while. It's not staining so deep, especially in the beginning, until the sizing is intact. But the other paper was very staining. If you put paint on it, it's never come off properly as it come off on the Archie's paper. So just learn your tool. So you can see I made it the line thinner, and I even add little pattern like those little corner, and I made those line very thin. And the last thing is the washback. I'm showing right now. This is a washback. It happens when you have a semi-dry paint. This is why I'm going back to the first drawing, the first part of the painting, because that's already semi-dry. Semi-dry means it's not shiny, but if you touch it, probably it will stain your finger. So when it's in this semi-dry state, you add just water and it wash back the paint. And that effect called the washback or the cauliflower, or I don't know, there are other names. So that's a really useful effect, watercolor effect, I use all the time for cat painting. And the last thing is to get ready to the next session. So you can take out now your real paper, and we will start to paint the first calico cat.